Hey everyone, it's noon and we're gonna get going here in a second. As always, we'll wait for another minute or so for other folks to join. But today is our Timer Tip Tuesday on the check-in app. And so I do have to share my phone, so I apologize if I get a call or two. I'll decline those, but this thing here on the right-hand side is my phone. So we'll be sharing that throughout the process because just like the previous presentations, don't want to go through the slides too much. I'd rather go through real scenarios with you. So give a little bit more. I think another 10 people just joined, so give another minute or so, and then we'll just jump in. Okay, that's probably it. So we'll get going. So thanks you guys again. My name is Chris McDonald. If you have any questions during the presentation, there is a question box that you can type things into, and I will be monitoring that. So we had some really good engagement on the web check-in. So feel free to ask questions as we go along. If they're pertinent at the very moment, I will answer it right then and there. Otherwise, I'll wait until the end and answer them if they're more general questions. So let's go ahead and dive in. Check-in app, just before we get going, I do want to show you that the check-in app is underneath the same place if you joined us last week, under RaceDay Tools, RaceDay CheckIn, and you do have to turn it on in the mobile app. So that being said, we'll go ahead and go to our dashboard for our test bib assignment race that we've been using over and over again. And we will go into RaceDay Tools, and we will go down to RaceDay CheckIn. So there is the mobile app. So just so we're clear, the mobile app that we are using is this one. I think I still have the old, yep. If you have this black one, delete it. I only have it on there just so that I can show people what not to use. So you will be using this two-tone blue RaceDay CheckIn app. If you've not yet downloaded it, you can go to your app store, whether you're iOS or Android or on a Chromebook. You can go to Google Play, and you're going to search for RunSignup. You're going to look for RaceDay CheckIn. And so once you go into RaceDay CheckIn, you'll see a bunch of races. You'll be like, well, they're not mine. Where's my race? And if you search for your race right here, and you've yet to go into the back end of RunSignup and click on mobile app and turn it on for now, then you will not be able to find it. It will not be searchable. So if you send us a support ticket saying my race is not in the check-in app, the first thing we're going to do is say go into, again, RaceDay Tools, RaceDay CheckIn, clicking on that, going into the mobile app. We're going to say, have you enabled it for today? So if it's, you don't just want to enable it for, let's say this race is December 31st. If I enable this for, 12/15/2020, and I save the settings, and I pulled down on this, I don't know that I've actually not tested this way before, but yep, see how it's not in there? Test bib assignment race, not in there, can't find it. So if we just go back in here and make this and now we can, I think it might take a minute or so. Boom, there it is, test bib assignment. So again, you want to set your username or your shared password in here. We suggest, or I suggest, using a very generic password. Again, this is my test race, and the password is password 99 for this race. It's super tough. And the only reason why and I think actually you have to, if I were to reset it, I have to use a symbol as well. But this is just an old password before that got set. So I can add an exclamation mark on just so it's as it should be, and save those settings. See, it's going to want something a little bit stronger. So I'm going to make it, let's see, RSU 1 2 exclamation. There you go. So it's been updated. I always suggest putting your password hint, since this is not an app that people can get a lot of information out of. I suggest putting it right here. The only people that have access to this password hint are the people that have access to the dashboard of your race. Also, if you end up having issues on site and you're texting us or you're calling us and saying, hey, we need support on our check-in app, one of the things we're going to need to know so we can go through it with you is what your password is. And if we can access, as an admin, if we can access this and your password's right here, then we can help by entering in the exact same way. So with that being said, we've got this set up for today. And so all the rest of everything we're going to do is here in the check-in app. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the thing at the bottom right that says settings. So if you're at home and you go to settings, this comes up. You have change identifier and delete database. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and delete the database. So in the future, this is likely going to be called like archive the database or something like that. This does not delete any of your data on RunSignup. It clears out the database on your check-in app. If you are using it, and we'll get to what queued edits are shortly, but if you do have queued edits on your device, we do want you not to delete the database because that will clear out the queued edits. It's the only way you can delete the queued edits. So once we've deleted the database, we need to go back in, and I like to change my identifier. And the reason behind this is any iOS device is going to be called iOS RD Check-in. Any Android device is going to be called Android RD Check-in. And if you have all of your devices named the same way, then your counts on check-in stats, they're going to merge. It's going to be a summation of those. So if you have 3 iOS devices that are all named RD Check-in, then you're only going to have 1 line of check-in stats. You're not going to have broken down by device. So we'll change this to RunSignup is fun. And so then we can hit the home button. And so now any person that this device checks in is going to be checked in by the device called RSU is fun. So we're going to click on the race. And now this is the password that I'm going to use to get into it. I don't think I spelled that correctly. All right, so we're now into the check-in app. And this is your default settings, nothing special. It's not set up for the camera to open automatically or anything like that. It is quite literally, this is where you drop it. So the second step of things that you want to do, and I will open up some of these slides just so we go along. So we've enabled the app, we found the event, and now we're going to go update the settings and then check in. So to go along with this, we're going to go to the top 3 lines here, and you'll see it opens this up to the side. So here's what we have. We have settings, and this is where most of the information gets set in advance. Quick check-in, which I don't really ever use. Locking the application. So locking the application would be if you have a fleet of like iOS devices or something like that, you can actually click to lock the application and put in a code. So 5555 and lock it. And so now if the person wants to go and I click this top thing again, they don't have access to any of those other settings. So we hit unlock and they have to know that to get back in. Now, there is a workaround. If somebody wants to get around that and you forget your PIN, you can quite literally close out the app and go back in, and it will no longer be locked. So just be mindful of that. So now we're going to go into, and you also see check-in stats, queued edits, and back to races. So the place where we're going to start is with settings. When we go into settings, you see there's 4 races for this event, and you can choose to show or not show. So if we want to just set this up to look at the fun run, when we go back, we only have fun runners. Now, everything I'm doing presently is local to this device. Nothing is saved to the cloud. So what I always suggest doing is not editing the default preset. I always suggest adding presets. So let's just assume that we have 5Kers and 10Kers, and we treat those pretty much the same. They're normal runners. The 5K relay, will treat it as a relay that has a relay team name. And then the fun run, we're going to treat in a third way because they don't get bibs. So we're going to need, in this case, 3 different presets. So we'll add a preset and we'll call this runner. So we want, in this scenario, we'll just make it up as we go along. We'll have the bib number. We want that to be required. So this is super important. I've heard people say, oh, well, somehow people registered without assigning a bib number. This right here, this setting is how you stop that from happening. If you require the bib number and this preset is loaded on the device, then you physically can't get through check-in without assigning a bib number. So in some scenarios, you want to require the waiver. On iOS devices, if the waiver is not signed and this person was imported, they can sign the waiver with their finger, and a picture is taken with the timestamp and IP address, and it's saved to their profile. Linked registrations, if that is turned on and a 5K and a 10K are registered at the same time as a family member, as soon as that first person's done, it'll ask if you want to check in the second person. So we're going to scroll down. We do want to show bib number. I don't need to see the chip number. I don't need to see their payment status. If we're requiring the waiver, then I don't need to see if the waiver's been signed or not. Age, gender. In this scenario, I don't care about registration date. I want to see their giveaway. I want to see their corral. Some have them and some don't, I believe. Let's see. I want to see if they have add-ons, and during check-in, I don't really care if they're emergency contact. I don't need to see that information. So information changes. These settings are for actual edits. So allowing uncheck-ins allows the person to be checked out of the event. So it also allows for clearing of the bib number. A lot of races, I would suggest having 2 sets of configurations, one for volunteers and one for staff. And so that way a volunteer can't uncheck people in and clear out people's bib numbers. They can't transfer people to another event. And so maybe instead of just a normal runner, we want to call this runner staff. So we know that a staff member is going to be using this one. So we'll go back to the edits, and we'll allow event transfers. We'll allow corral edits. We'll allow giveaway edits and personal info. Preserving bib on event transfer, this means if you've already assigned them like bib number 1, 2, 3, and you move them from the 5K to the 10K, they will keep bib number 1, 2, 3. So if you have different color bibs, then you would not want that checked. Validate bibs, you want turned on if you have personalized bibs, if you're using personalized bibs with names printed on them. So in this scenario, we'll say we don't. We'll auto show the camera on bib assignment. So this is a dynamic assignment where we have a QR code on the bib, and we can clear the search after check-in. So again, we have a handful of settings turned on for this. And so now that we have that, you can see runner staff is on there. So in this scenario, we might have, we now need to select runner staff for the 5K and the 10K. We'll quickly add another preset of relay staff, and we'll make this one, we'll skip this and we'll add a group number instead. We'll require the waiver. And again, I'm just removing some of these things so that we can see as much information as possible. Let's see. And the big one on the group check-in, and I went through that fairly quickly, but this one at the bottom, this use group name during check-in, that allows you to search for the relay team name, which is helpful at like a triathlon or maybe an ultra relay. You can even turn this on and have the group team names if people were allowed to create social teams, and it's like Orange Theory is a team, and somebody's coming to pick up that entire group. You could, if they created a team and all registered underneath that team, you could search for them by that group name. So we'll go back in here, and the relay is relay staff, and this isn't saving because I haven't actually saved all this. So I'm gonna have to do it, and then I'm gonna do one last one of fun run. And we're gonna skip the bib number because they're not being timed. We're gonna skip the group bib number. We are gonna require waiver, but otherwise we don't wanna see much of anything for this group, except for their giveaway and their add-ons. So all of this is in there, and so now we can go in and staff, relay, staff, 10K is back to runner staff and fun run. So now we have all of our presets selected to our events. We want to be able to see all of the events while we're checking people in. If you want to hide the checked-in participants, you absolutely can. I like to see the bib number and the checked-in status. And now you have this thing at the bottom, upload configuration. So now, if I want to upload this, I would call it test run, because that's the name of the event, staff. And I would save it. And you get a success. So we've got all of our settings for all these different events up here. And I realized we did a number of different events. So now when we go in, and if we go to, let's say, I don't remember who is, we'll have to just search in the participant list as to who is the fun runner. So we've got toddler kid. So if we search for toddler kid in the fun run, you can see a minimum number of items on that list. There's no bib number or anything like that. So when I hit check-in, apparently this person has not signed the waiver yet. So they can click view waiver. They can read the waiver, close the waiver, and agree to the waiver, right? So now the toddler kid has been checked in. This does cache for about, I don't know, I think it's like 15 or 20 seconds. So if we want to see who is checked in or not, we can Let's see. She was fun. Or she was fun. So, and that we've been using these and checking them in and out quite a bit. But if we go now into Toddler Kit, into their profile, you can see a picture of that signature and when it was signed and the waiver at the time it was signed. So it is a great way to do that. On Android devices, it allows them to sign off on the waiver. It doesn't show up as a picture though. So just be mindful of that. So let's see. If we go back and want to check in, let's say we want to check in a 5K, test Sun. We now have a lot more information. We have corral number, we have no bib number, we have the age, the event, and then we have more things at the bottom. So we could change the giveaway. Now, keep in mind, if you have inventories in the event, so in this event, I do have inventories, and one of them is sold out. There are no smalls left. So I should find somebody that has any size other than small, just so I can show you this does not, you can override your inventories by your change giveaways within the app. So please be mindful of that. So you can change the corral from 1 to 2. You can change the event, you can move them into another event, or you can edit the personal info. Again, we turned everything on for this. And so maybe test Sun is actually 19. So now the age is 19. So when we hit check-in, we set this so that a camera would pop up. So again, the camera pops up automatically, and I'm going to cover this up because right below here, there is a QR code. The moment I move my finger, it's going to assign number 1001 to this. I click no buttons, I just scan that 1001. So now you can see 1001 is in there, and I hit the blue assign button. So now the bib number is assigned within the check-in app. So now if we go into view participants and to test Sun, see if it's, I can just search for it. Test Sun is 19, and it's not yet updated with the bib number. There it is. So again, it does take about, I don't know, 15 to 20 seconds to sync up. So you can see that the age had already updated, but the bib number hadn't. I hit refresh one more time, and it had. So we can hit the uncheck in button here. And you want to uncheck this person in? Yes. And so now they're unchecked in, but the bib number is still assigned. So, and let's see. In terms of if somebody brings their printout of registration, we can hit I think it's the person's name is sample person. So let me go to person. I think there's a few of these. So this is the person right here that we're going to be checking in. So I'm going to hit the camera. So again, camera opens up, and I'm going to cover this up, but the moment it gets it, it's going to bring up sample person. So that QR code automatically opens up the person's information. You can go in and change anything you want to, or you can check them in. And again, the QR code scanner opens up, and we'll hold it just so it doesn't go too fast, and it auto scans. We hit assign, and now that information is in RunSignup as well.
Hey, Chris, we got a question that came in
Yep.
from Andrew on this works with barcodes as well as QR codes.
Yes. So let me barcodes on, yes, it works with both barcodes on the bib and barcodes for the registration confirmation. So I will say that barcodes tend to scan slower, and a lot of people, when they make their barcodes, they don't realize that, and most of your bib manufacturers will know this, but you do have to have a leading and an ending star, because barcode is basically a font. And so you do have to have, like, for instance, bib number 1002 in barcode font would be star 1002 star. And so the stars help the scanner know where to start and stop. But most of your bib manufacturers, if you ask them for a barcode or a QR code, they work well in producing these. There usually is a small variable cost that's additional. But I think some road ID bibs come with them already on there. So that is one plus. And on the reg confirmation, that's what these folks are getting as they register. But you can also, one thing that's super helpful if you do want to speed up registration, if you go into your email and you want to create your an email that goes out to all your participants, and whatever, you can name this as test, and in your email, a lot of times, and I like how, in case you haven't noticed, your replacement tag button is up here. And so links and QR codes. So you can go down to registration QR code. And so now you can type your email in there. But this QR code is going to populate for that specific person. So if you send this out, the day before packet pickup and ask people to bring this email on their smartphone, you'll be able to scan this QR code with the camera on your this camera right here to find the participants, and it will speed things up speed things up immensely by those QR codes being at the ready. So not many people print them out anymore, just because not many people print things as much. But they will bring it on their smartphone. And on the web check-in where they're using the actual barcode scanner, it doesn't work very well off of a smartphone because it glares back. The mobile devices use a camera, and so it does pick it up off of the smartphone. So that's a quick rundown. And then one other thing you can do in here is you can click in and go to check-in stats. So we can see we've checked in 2 of 39 people. So if you're out doing something away from packet pickup, you can get a really good idea of how many people have picked up. The other thing is the queued edits. And I will see if I can turn off the internet and check somebody in just so you can see the queued edits as it works. Let's see. All right, so you can see no internet connection at the top. And so we're going to go to whomever. We'll go to person E. We'll change, we'll just check them in. And let's say we're not using barcode scanners or QR scanners. We can still type this in and assign it. And you can see person E is checked in now. And when we go back up here to the queued edits, we can see the registration ID and what was changed. So if I go in to participants and view participants, and I search for, let's see, if I search for 413-92715, that's the reg ID for this person. You see how nothing's in there yet? So how do I get things out of queued edits? Well, you need to make sure you can get back onto the internet with this device. So I'm going to go back in, turn everything back on. So you can see it's still in there. If I go into queued edits, you can still see it's still there. If I pull down and resync, those queue edits will go away. And again, it takes, I don't know, 15 seconds or so. If I hit refresh a couple times, there you go. You've got your bib number now within RunSignup. So I would suggest, especially if you're doing dynamic bib assignment, to check those queued edits periodically to make sure you don't have a device that is bumping offline every once in a while because of poor connection. And then I would also really suggest, if you're going to have multiple devices, that you go in and change this identifier here so that you can see who checked them in. And you can also, you can customize this view to actually see, and these people have been checked in and out multiple times. So it's maybe not a great example, but you can see checked in by, and you can see who all's checked this in. And so this person was checked in by the web check-in, and all that dumps into the same place. And so now if we go into RaceDay Tools and RaceDay CheckIn, we can go into check-in stats, and we can see this is accurate who's actually checked in. And so some of these other ones are, who's been checked in over time, like on other demos that we've done. So any other questions? Andrew had the one about barcodes. Most people are using iOS devices like iPhones, iPads. Some people are using newer versions of the iPod Touch because they're a little bit cheaper. A number of folks are using Android devices as well, since they are also a bit cheaper than an iPhone or an iPad. I'll wait another minute or so. There's no more questions. I know it was a lot of information. This is one of the coolest tools that RunSignup has. So it's like I said, beauty of doing demos with your phone. All right, well, I appreciate it. And if you guys do have any questions, feel free to reach out, Crisp at RunSignup. That's CRISP at RunSignup. Next week, we'll be going over results. Under RaceDay Tools, we'll be going under all the result functions. And then following that, we will be going into a multi-part series on RaceDay scoring, both simple setup, hardware streams, reporting, things like that. So I think we have a great lineup on the Timer Tip Tuesdays coming up. So thank you guys for joining today. And again, if you have any questions, reach out and we'll talk to you next week. Take care.